All right, let's do it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Born Reddy. I'm your host, Anthony Reddy, and today I'm going to share with you something that I've never shared before. Hi, my name's Anthony Reddy, and I'm a sensitive soul. What does that mean? It means that we're pretty much sensitive to everything. You may have heard of us. We're sensitive to environment, we're sensitive to vibes and auras, and we're sensitive to feelings and emotions. We're sensitive to food like gluten, dairy, and could be allergic. We're sensitive to loud noises. We're sensitive to alcohol and marijuana, especially marijuana. We're sensitive to Mercury in retrograde and full moons. Pretty much anything that would piss us off, we're sensitive to it. Why I say that is because being sensitive is hard to accept. It's not something that I'm proud of. It's something that I've come to terms and I'm embracing it more. And it doesn't mean that you are a weak person and should feel ashamed. It really should be a blessing in disguise and a gift for you to kind of regulate that you have boundaries. Okay. You have a place where you can set limits and know your limits, and then also be able to be proud of it because you speak your mind and speak your truth. Not everyone is going to understand what that means. Not everyone is going to feel the same way. And that's okay. And that's okay. The reason why I start off by saying this is because yesterday was a shit day. And I blame it. I blame it on the lack of sleep, which has been very difficult for me lately. Obviously, being in a different part of the world and adjusting to your circadian rhythm is very hard to have a routine. Now, I wake up every morning at a certain time because I force myself to, but it doesn't mean that I'm always going to be in the best mood. I also think with the full moon happening, that just happened, you can feel the heaviness, you can feel the shift, and that's something that I've always been in tune of. I've been in tune of just environment, and I really, truly believe that it affects all of us, whether you believe it or not, or if you're in tune or aware about it. Now, yesterday, between the perfect recipe of having a shit day, of not having good sleep, the full moon, having things to do, having your mind racing, and just feeling overwhelmed, it's the perfect recipe for a shit day. And the reason why I start off by saying this is because it's hard to show up and do the things that you want to do with the emotions and heavy thoughts that you feel, but that doesn't mean you get to skip out on it. And that's something that I practice every day, which I'm going to talk about. Now, when I got to the gym yesterday, because that's the first thing I like to do in the mornings to kind of get that out of the way, because it's hard. Going to the gym is hard, especially when you feel off. And I was sitting in the car for about 30 minutes trying to conjure up energy to force myself to go. And I had a talk with myself, knowing that, hey, this is something you've done before. Yes, we're not feeling at our best, and yes, we're feeling off, but that doesn't mean that we can't crush it today. So it took some mental toughness and some talking, building up my courage to go inside and just wanting to crush it. The reason why I had to take some time for myself is because I'm already talking myself out of it, that it's going to be a bad day and I'm going to be in a shit mood. And also, I don't want to pollute my energy. That's something that I am very cautious of. I don't want to be in a place or a friends group or an outing or an event where I'm not feeling at my best. And knowing when to be cautious about it is important, at least for me. Now, for everyone else, I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't notice the difference. I'm just a little more quiet and more, reserved. But I just want to make sure that I'm at my best and I'm not bringing down the vibes. Okay. So going into the gym was a challenge for me yesterday. However, a worker was working out. A worker who works there at the gym was working out and approached me and just asked me, like, hey, how's it going? And I was completely honest. I'm like, I'm having a shit day. And she's like, why? And I told her why. And you know what's so nice is that this person was truly engaged. Like, she really was interested, because she was also not having a shit day, but she could understand and relate to the challenges that even though you're having an off day, you still got to show up and do your best and do the things that you need to do in order to practice, right? Practice being perfect, practice being your best self, investing in your workout today so you can feel good tomorrow, right? So she understood, and she was definitely not concerned, but she was definitely engaged to where I felt seen. I felt heard. And I told her off the bat, like, I'm just really sensitive. And it's something that I've really struggled with accepting and embracing it. But, it doesn't mean I should stop. It doesn't mean I need to be this person. I don't want to be sensitive. I don't want to feel this way. So I'm just going to force myself to push through and do what I need to do. She totally related. Here's what the cool thing was, and here's what my mood and my whole physiology changed. She was able to share a story where she went to go see a psychic because she recently lost someone. I'm not going to say because I don't know if it's private information or not, but she recently lost someone, and then she talked about the challenges of losing someone and then being able to cope with it. And that's something that I feel when I'm here in Ireland specifically, is that there is a reminder that it's just my dad and I, and there's a person missing. And it does remind me of family. Like Ireland, I can't think of Ireland and I can't think of family without either one of them. So I totally related. But what really brought me to a place where I can relate is that everything she said about her experience during the session with the psychic was the exact same thing as I went through. The same things that she told me. And it was also in the exact same order. I was like, my eyes started off like really small, getting bigger and bigger to the point where I was like, did we just have like the same reading? That's incredible. How is that even possible? And I was like, is there any way possible that she can even know that stuff? And she's like, no, there's no way. But the reason why she said all this is because she took the time to be invested, and I think she really wanted to understand more. And I love that about people. See, the thing about being sensitive is that not everyone is willing to be open or put the work in to understand. And it takes effort. A lot of times when we see someone in a off mood or not themselves, or even owning up to saying that they are sensitive, it's really hard to understand, or even to how to ask for more information or to accept that someone's like that. We usually write them off, or we avoid it at all costs because, usually there's people out there who have a baseline, right? And normal people have a baseline where nothing affects them. They're pretty much rock solid all the way through. And I envy that. I really do. I really wish that I could be more like that so I wouldn't be rocked all the time. But because I'm sensitive and because I feel deeply, my baseline is up and down all the time. It's a roller coaster, and that's just the truth. That's the way I live. I definitely try to keep it very small margin of up and downs and understand the balance, right? We talked about practicing gratitude and aligning and feeling off balance and how to get back to being balanced. Yeah, it's really hard to accept that you are this sensitive person. So it was really nice that she took some time to just listen, and then we got to bond over this experience about her and I went to the psychic, the same one, and have kind of the same kind of outcome. For me and her, we both had reassurance, and just having someone hear you and listen and take notice just really changed my whole philosophy on the day, where it was shit and then it got better. And no joke, yesterday I hit some personal records during some weightlifting exercises, and I can't tell you how delighted or how surprised and how good it feels that even though you didn't want to be there, and even though you had to give yourself a talk before you get in there, and even though you're kind of expecting to have a really bad quality of performance, you're still able to surprise yourself. And that's remarkable. And that's something that I truly cherish about consistency and routine. The other part I want to talk about is I don't go to the gym because I absolutely love it. Actually, I don't love I don't love it in the sense I love other things like basketball or going hiking. Pretty much any sport, really. I really love all sports. You can't go wrong. It's so much fun to play. But weightlifting is one of those exercises that really push you and challenge you because there's a point of failure. And if you are a gym goer and yourself and you practice to the point of failure of doing some kind of exercise, it's not a good feeling to fail. Right? You kind of have this notion of like, gosh, I could do more, but I'm like failing every time you hit it. And that's the point. That's the whole purpose of weightlifting is embracing failure, right? Getting to the point where you can do so many amount of reps to failure and you can't do anymore until you rest for the next set. And that's taught me a lot, right? It's taught me to embrace and accept that lifting weights is a teacher. It's a teacher for me to get better because we all fail, right? We all go through struggles and challenges. And even though we failed, we don't stop. We pick ourselves back up. We give her some time. We reevaluate and we tackle it again and go at it again. And that's what weightlifting does for me. The other one that actually is very challenging for me, but I actually love it, is yoga. Yoga is a practice that I've started a while back, a few years ago. And it's taught me that it's a different type of workout. It's taught me that you can't escape. You can't run from a posture. So yoga, you would think it's only about poses and stretching, but it's way more than that. It's about breathing and aligning and connecting with your soul, your body, your mind, all at once. And I feel that sometimes when I'm in a posture, especially early on when I was practicing, hello, son. Welcome. You're really changing the lighting in here, and I love that. I'm gonna have to figure out how to color grade that. So thank you. Gosh, it was like perfectly balanced with gray skies today, and now the sun's peeking out. And that's a good thing, by the way, for Ireland, the sun to peek out. So, but yeah, yoga. So early in my practice, I felt like yoga was extremely difficult because I'd be in a posture that was very uncomfortable. And I'm not so limber. My range of motion and my mobility only goes so far. I'm proud to say that I've come a long way. But during those poses, you have to really be mentally tough to stay in it. And all you want to do, all your mind is thinking about is get me the fuck out of here, right? It's like, this is as much as I could do. I need to move. I need to, and your mind wants to race and go everywhere else. That's all over the place is what I'm trying to say. And I feel like that is teaching me how to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And it's another practice that I feel like I show up and I honestly push myself to failure, or I push myself to the limit where I can't do anymore, but I just want to hold on because I don't want to quit. I don't want to give up. You know, I just want to try my best before even stopping completely until I absolutely need it, and knowing the difference when to stop, you know, or when to get out of a posture. But between meditation and having my mind to be clear and stay with the present moment and connecting with my mind, body, and soul has taught me that I can push myself beyond limits that I'd never think I was capable of doing. Can I take a sip of water? I feel like I'm on a good roll. You know why? Because I'm so caffeinated today. I had a few cups of coffee. Gosh, yeah, my mind's racing. I'm excited. I'm so excited to tell you about this story. But anyways, so why do I tell you those two things? And how do we encompass I say all that to tell you this, that being a sensitive person and doing hard things helps me know that I'm capable of being my best version, no matter what mood or how sensitive I am. And it's taught me that even though when I feel like I'm not good enough, I know I am. And I do that through practice, through actionable practice. And I really think that anything that you want to do in life to better yourself or just be interested in, whether it's a role that you want to be in your relationships or as a friendship or as a parent, etc., it takes actionable effort to practice where you want to go and where you want to be. Because actionable shows progress. And that's something that I strive on. I need to see progress, and I need to set goals for myself, and I need guidance also. I need to see where I'm headed and see how far I've come to measure that. So yeah, being sensitive doesn't mean it's weak. I just think it means you're in tune. You're at full volume. And I really think it's a gift, and it's really pushed me to be better, which is really nice. So you guys, how are you guys doing? What's going on with you guys today? Lots to talk about. I just don't want to say everything all at once because I want to keep these episodes at a digestible time. I know the last two I've been going deeper and longer, which is nice, but I want to kind of maybe shorten up a little bit because I don't want to give all the information all at once, and I also want to build towards this. By the way, I actually recorded this episode 7, round 7, yes, yesterday, and I really didn't like who I was when I rewatched it. The reason why is because, yes, I want to show up and be who I am, and I want to let you see that, but I felt like the rhythm and the cadence and delivery was not what I was trying to practice. I am trying to practice telling you a story without too many filler words. I am trying to practice being better at my delivery and pausing. And I am trying to practice being myself all at once. So through the progression, I think we're getting there. I always say that watching your episode after you film it is like watching film in sports. You kind of notice what you do with your hands, how you move the microphone, where is your voice, how's your tone. I'm studying myself constantly, but I get sick and tired of it. So I can only do like 10 to 15 minutes at a time, and then I have to go back to it. But it's also challenging me to accept who I am and how I am. Even though we all thrive to be a perfectionist, being a perfectionist doesn't mean that you can also be authentic. I think there has to be room for yourself. Does that make sense? I don't want to be perfectionist. I do want to practice perfection, but I don't want to be perfectionist because part of me is being silly and messing up and making mistakes. It's like what's the saying? I'm perfectly doing everything wrong. Like I'm doing everything wrong perfectly. That's it. I'm doing everything wrong perfectly. And I really like that saying because I'm so human. I'm as human as it gets. And I'm nowhere near where I would love to be in this space. But what I do think is a strength is just showing up and using your vulnerability to inspire others. Because it's not easy to show up on the mic and do this. And it's not easy to put it out there and feel judged or criticized or whatever it is that you interpret this. And honestly, it's not for you to feel anything. It's up to you, right? We talked about that. Okay. With all that said, let's move on. This is going to be the last part of the topic, and it's the first official Ready or Not story. So the whole premise of this podcast is to show what it's like to be in real life. How do you navigate it? What did you do in certain situations? And the name Born Reddy, obviously being born ready as my last name, being ready for life is something I've never felt prepared for, right? And we all go through situations where we were prepared and confident enough, but that doesn't mean it always worked out the way you thought it was. Or maybe you went to a situation where you weren't prepared, but surprisingly it went really well, And I think those moments are so important because they are relatable moments, right? They actually happened and it's nothing to skip over, even though it's small or monumental. They're all important. So I'm just a big fan of storytelling and stories in general. That's why I love movies and books. And it's the reason why I got into this space. And selfishly, I get to talk to other people about it, friends and family, which is really nice to work with, getting that opportunity. So, okay. So for my official first Ready or Not story begins when I'm 8 years old. What is that? Is that some kind of piece of hair? I don't want that in my face. Anyways, starts when I was 8 years old, and it was the first time I ever had to fast. And I was not forced to fast, but definitely given a choice where I didn't have a lot of options. So I'm 8 years old. I'm playing Pop Warner football for Oak Grove High School, Pop Warner, which is a school that I went to. But yes, if you don't know what that is, it's an American football peewee team. It's my second year playing with the team that I played for the year before, and we had a successful year, went undefeated but lost a championship. And so we're all getting back together. We're getting the game back together, and we're staying another year. So the reason why I was forced to fast was because if you stay on the same team and you're a year older, you need to be lighter in weight to give everyone in your weight class and your age group a chance to play. So I had a month to lose 12 pounds. Now, by all means, I wasn't fat, okay? I was maybe a little on the chubbier, thicker side, but I was athletic and very fast. And during this time, I was doing a lot of exercising and working out. Not in the ways that you would as an adult, but for an 8-year-old kid, I took it pretty seriously and I was dedicated. So there was about 6 or 7 of us who had to lose anywhere from 8 to 12 pounds. And not only did we have to practice, 2 times a day, morning and afternoon, leading up to the start of the season, we had to diet and exercise religiously. Now, it was the first time I was introduced to a cleaner diet. And during this time, it was a big adjustment for me because I was so used to obviously eating all the good snacks like Gushers and fruit roll-ups, Sunny D, if you know what that is, orange juice as a kid, Capri Sun, obviously soda pop. We had, another thing, obviously I went to school, in elementary school, and they would always have like nachos and burritos and hot dogs and pizza. And unfortunately, I had to be on a cleaner diet, so I started taking my lunch with me. And I was so miserable in the cafeteria, always eating with my friends, my peers, and they would always tease me because they know I was going through this this dieting cycle. Cycle? Is that what I want to say? Brain, are you sure you want to say cycle? I was going through this period. How about a period? An era? We'll say period. I was going through this period of weight loss. And luckily, I did have some cool friends, that were very supportive and understood because they also played sports. But I also had some knuckleheads who thought they just want to be funny and be fun to, poke fun at me. And I was very, very salty about it. So much that I let them know on the playground, never do that again. Had supportive teachers, my parents through this whole process. We learned so much about each other and limits to where our patience was tested. At home, I had to eat at a certain time, a certain weight. I had to weigh my meals. I had to constantly drink water. And I even had to go run around the neighborhood wearing a garbage bag. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically I would have cut out a garbage bag, right, for the neck and the arms, put it underneath my clothes and go running for as long as I can go. And you would sweat. You would get your Rocky on. Your Rocky music is playing and the Eye of the Tiger. You're definitely in your Rocky era, right? And there was a part in the first 2 weeks where I felt like I was doing really well and I was dropping weight. And I believe I got to like 8, 7, maybe 6 pounds with 2 weeks to go and feeling really good. But then I plateaued for a while. And the reason why is because I think my body was trying to compensate and regulate because I was losing weight at a faster pace. But then the urges start to come where I was craving chocolate, grilled cheeses, pizza, and guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do at that point. To regulate, like I could do the running, I could do the exercise. Like obviously when you're tired and sore, but like when you're a kid, you have a limited amount of energy, right? You can go forever. But the dieting was just incredibly difficult. Something I never had to deal with. But thankfully through the coaching staff, my peers, my teammates, my friends, family, just all supportive, really helped. So here's what I did. I would sometimes get Gatorade and water and freeze them and eat those as snacks. and I had to be really creative. And then I would also get dark chocolate and have a square at the very end of the night just to have a craving or something. And this was actually working very well all the way up until about a week where I was about 4 pounds away. And I've came a long way. Also, other people who were just taller than me and not as chubbier were having a very difficult time losing weight. So it sucked, really had to push our limits. Anyways, what do I want to say? Where was I going with this? A couple days, 4 pounds. Oh, I used to eat a lot of cantaloupe. I absolutely loved it. I used to eat it with cottage cheese, and it was my favorite go-to snack and my all-time favorite fruit at the time. Until one day at practice, when I was in the middle of a scrimmage, I remember running and feeling like, this doesn't feel right. Something, I maybe feel like I'm going to throw up, but it felt like heartburn, right, at first. I felt like something's burning, and I couldn't tell what it was. So I told coach, like, hey, I'm not feeling well. So he sat out, went back in, and the very first play when I went back in, I took my helmet off and I threw up all over the field, right? Definitely not embarrassing for all your friends to see, but definitely not the first time that anyone has thrown up. When you play sports, you always see something or someone at some point throwing up. It's just the way it is. It's the way of the nature. And I feel like I was embarrassed, but honestly, I was excited when I threw up because I was like, oh my God, I lost weight. That means I get to eat more. And it's the funniest thing, right? When you like do that in front of everyone, you would think like, oh my gosh, I'm being embarrassed. Guys, I was not. I didn't care. But here's the downfall. The taste of the cantaloupe put me off so much that even to this day, I no longer eat cantaloupe. It was one of those traumatizing tastes that I can still remember that I'm never going to overcome it. Now I've tried in recent years to try to eat it, and I can get to that place, but every time I taste it, I think back to that moment, and it's not worth it for me. So I no longer eat cantaloupe. So that was fun. I can tell you a story that one of the days I cheated. I had a grilled cheese with a friend of mine who made it for lunch on a weekend, and we were talking about it at practice somehow, and one of the parents overheard and then ratted us out. And the whole practice, we had to constantly run with all our pads, super hot day in California. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to cheat. Not only that, they explained to me that by cheating, I'm only hurting myself. And when you're 8 years old, you don't really understand that when like a grilled cheese is just melting on the pan and you're just having that bite of cheesiness and gooiness and that crunch and that buttery taste. Oh God. It's something that I couldn't resist. And I thought, well, you know what, I'll just burn it off, right? But they explained to me that I was only hurting myself and they were right. So let's fast forward. It's 2 days out into the weigh-ins, and the weigh-ins are on a Saturday. And I remember my coaches telling the parents, I think there was about 4 or 5 of us that were still overweight, that we're in the range to make it, but it's going to take an ultimate sacrifice, which is probably going to need to fast for the next couple days up until the weigh-ins, which means you can only have water. That's it. Just water. No food, no snacks, nothing. And I remember thinking about this and being like, I can't have a snack, can't have a banana. What am I going to do? How am I going to live? If I don't eat, would I die? Like, guys, 8 years old, this is scary stuff, And I'm thinking like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to go through a fast for 2 days. There's no way. And thank God for the support of my parents. Because guys, that first day, just being told you can't eat and can't do something. What is the first thing that you want to do is do it, right? So being told that I can't eat and I have 2 more practices, right? In 2 more days up until the weigh-ins, it was hell. I went through hell. And the hardest part about it was going to school at lunchtime and smelling all remember the corn dogs? Gosh, they were so greasy, but so good. Like, it was still crispy. And I don't know about you guys in elementary school, but we nailed it. Like, we had the perfect corn dog. And all I wanted was just to put that corn dog all over my face, okay? And just get down on that dog. So hard. To this day, I'm so miserable that I never got to have that chance. And there's nothing you want more than something you want, right? Like, you can't be... There's nothing more that you want that you just, you can't have. So Remember lunchtime being hard. I told my teacher I can't eat in the cafeteria anymore. So I got to go outside early and I got to run. And that's what I would do during lunch for the next 2 days. I would run. Any chance of recess, I would just run, drink water. So thankfully I had some really good support system with my teacher. Thank you, Miss Nelson. She was super sweet. And going home was not as bad, but at night, I remember the first night I cried. I cried so much that my parents were just annoyed. Like they did everything they could possibly do, but they were just like, you're just going to have to suck it up. You know, there's nothing we can do. It's all on you. And I remember thinking like, how am I going to do this? You know, thankfully, because I told you that I used Gatorade and water as ice cubes, I had ice chips to crunch on. And that definitely gave some satisfaction. That's probably why I love crunch. I love crunchy foods so much. The vibration is so satisfying to me. It's like I don't know. It's a feeling that like aligns with my soul. Like it's like, gosh, it just hits so hard. You know, a good crunch. So thankfully I had that. I got over the first day. The second day wasn't as bad until the nighttime again. And I just remember thinking like, I can get through this. And this is something I really want to do. And I'm really close, you guys. I'm like a half pound away from my goal. So I was thinking, oh gosh, like if I just, can do this, then I'll be able to eat whatever I want. Now, you guys, this is the best part of the story. Not only did I lose enough weight, and I killed it by like 2 pounds. I was under by 2 pounds, maybe a pound and a half. But I remember being so excited. You have to weigh in your underwear in front of all these people, and then you're just like, don't even care. Everything that you've been through to that moment, it's like I can only think about food. I'm dreaming about food. I'm fantasizing about it. My mouth is just watering. Like that's all I want to do. And you guys, the very first thing after I got the scale and excited and I was emotionally like just in tears of like being able to accomplish that. And I don't want to take away from the story from fasting because I did it. But you guys, the only thing that I wanted to do was go to Burger King and eat a Junior Western Bacon Cheeseburger. At the time, that was something that my heart was set on. I needed to go there. And you guys, about 5 families drove to Burger King, and all we can think of is ordering this really delicious, soft breaded, cheesy barbecue bacon beef burger that we're just about to feast. Okay. And I remember getting it and opening it and seeing it. And I think my eyes was just like looking at everyone like, I can't believe I made it this far. I can't believe I got here. Grab the burger, look at it, take a big whiff. Oh, I can still smell the bacon. And you guys, I closed my eyes and very gently, I took the most savage fucking bite of my life. And today, it was the most euphoric feeling of tasting all this amazing ingredients put together, this creation of like the perfect art of a burger. And then just thinking like, I'm in fucking heaven. I would do it all over again just to have that feeling back again. And that's what it feels like when you fast. It feels like you've never eaten food until you have not eaten food. And you guys, I just can't tell you how much I went through, a roller coaster of emotions. But it really pushed me to think that you are very capable of doing something with obviously support and having a goal in mind. And then knowing that when you accomplish it and reward yourself with that first bite, there's nothing like it. That's living. That is my favorite story to share with people about fasting because, well, it's very hard to do when you're a kid. But it's something that you are just going above and beyond to do something very challenging for yourself and knowing that you can accomplish it. Like, I'm not trying to land this story so hard, but the feeling I'm feeling right now, I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't be more proud and couldn't be more excited to share that story for a ready or not story or moment. And it's one of my favorites because we're all capable of doing something hard. And that's why I do the things I do. That's why I show up and keep a routine, stay consistent, is because I know I'm capable of it. I know that I can do it. And I know that I want to keep continuing to do it because if I could do hard things, if we can do hard things, everything else is just easier to do. And it sets you up for better preparation, right? A better outcome. Definitely better opportunities and possibilities. So Wow. Now I just want to go to Burger King and eat a Junior Bacon Western Cheeseburger. I don't think they even have those anymore. Gosh, yeah. And after that, and throughout my adulthood, I've fasted a few times. The longest being 4 days, which I will talk about another time. But you guys, what is your ready or not moment? I would love to know. That's something that eventually I hope this grows bigger and better for you guys. And hopefully we could talk about it more because I would love to hear your stories. What was something that you were prepared for or weren't prepared for? What was the outcome? What did you learn? Would you do it again? How would you share that story? All those things I'm very curious and very interested to know. So I don't know how we are in time, but I really do want to cut this a little short. So maybe you could stop there for today. So you guys, thank you so much for listening. This is episode 7 on the Born Reddy Podcast. My name is Anthony Reddy, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you next time. Ready or not.